everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, with my great friend and great broadcaster, Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, it's been a while since we did a show.
Yes, it has been, and the always awesome Gary Mack. Thank you very much for the introduction. And yeah, we sort of took the end of the season off. Both of us had some tough opponents with our home teams that we really loved, and I'm sure we needed the extra time to watch those games, tune into them, and look, we both made the playoffs. Our favorite teams are in there, and a ton of teams this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the extended format, some people like it, some people don't like it. I don't mind it too much. My team would have made it anyway, but it did allow the Phillies to get in by having it, and I think it's a good thing in a way because you know what? They've had a good season. They played well. They had their ups and downs. Fired their manager, got a new manager in. They lost guys for a large period of time. Schwarber and Harper,
Harper.
they lost for a long, long period of the season, and they were managing to hang in there and could be dangerous in a short period, a short series. Though I think a lot of people are going to pick the Cardinals, and I guess rightfully so.
Yeah, it's going to be a short series, as you said, wild card weekend. And the Phillies have to face a division winner. They face the third finisher in the division, the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm not too upset at that. I think the Phillies can do well against the Cardinals. I'd rather them play the Cardinals than the Mets in the first go around here on wild card weekend. But yeah, because whoever wins that Mets San Diego series is going to go on to see the Dodgers, I believe. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have a tough road, whoever that is that wins that series. Not that the Phillies might have it easier against the Braves, but the Dodgers and the Braves get that extra week of rest or so. It's not quite a week, but it's a several day rest. And I frankly would rather my team keep playing. How about you?
Well, I no, in my situation, I would rather have my team off, especially the Mets. I mean, if we're talking about the Mets, I'd rather have the team off because we have some injuries and we give the guys a chance to get back that they really have missed down the stretch. And it was very frustrating from my point of view as a Met fan, simply because they ended up in a tie with the Braves, but because they went 1-6 in their last 7 games against the Braves, 3 of which were last weekend, in which they were swept. Um, it was very frustrating. They lost the tiebreaker last weekend. Had they won one game in that series, they would have won the tiebreaker and they would be off now, and the Braves would have to be playing Friday night. That's how close that was. And it was very frustrating from my point of view because of that one game. And, I had warned everybody. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, they got the easiest schedule." After they had played the Dodgers in August, and after that, they were having an easy schedule. Had the easiest schedule according to everybody. And I said, "You got to watch out for that because that's a trap. These second division teams, they want to win. They got players that want to earn spots, and they're hungry, and they're gonna go that extra mile." And that's what happened. They got swept by the Cubs. Again, if they would have won one game against the Cubs in that series, they would have been the champs now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because they would have had 102 victory. They would have won by a game. Um, so it's very frustrating for me to have to go in to the wild card round, and but it is what it is, and they are in, and now you play to win there. I hope. This is a team that started to look like it was playing to lose and not to win, and you know what happens then? That's when you lose because
Yeah.
you're too tight.
Yeah.
And
Not
but
loose.
that, yeah, but now they're coming off a sweep of the Nationals, and I know it was the Nationals, but um, hopefully it gave them a little incentive. It gave them a little bit of encouragement, and they'll go in to beat go in to play the Padres on Friday night, and the Phillies will be playing Friday afternoon against the Cardinals. And over in the American League, Rich, we've got the Rays and the Guardians kicking it all off at 12:07, and the Mariners and the Blue Jays at 4 o'clock, uh, kicking it off. And those games are on ESPN and ABC on Friday. So a full day of wild card baseball, and it should be an interesting weekend. Do you like the 3 game playoff for the wild card?
I didn't think I would initially when I heard that there was extra teams getting into the wild card, so to speak. I do like this though. As you said, some teams that were on the bubble are going to get in. They're going to get a chance. Um, Seattle in the American League made it in after 21 years. I think they were dry of the playoffs.
Something, yeah.
The Phillies, after 10 or 11 years, depending who you listen to on that, 2011 was the last time they made the playoffs. So there's 2 teams that were the longest drought that are now broken, thank goodness. And, for those fans in their specific areas, it's huge. Um, it's reinvigorated the game within certain large metropolitan areas. Philadelphia's 3 million people, thereabouts. Seattle is a big market. There's extra fans that are now, oh, the Phillies are playing, oh, the Mariners are playing, and vice versa. Um, so yeah, I think it's great for baseball. I I don't think they need to do any more as far as teams. It seems like hockey has more to me as far as make the playoffs. Maybe not, but it just seems like half the league in the hockey league and the NHL make the playoffs anymore, and the regular season is just you know a regular season, quote unquote. It
Yeah.
doesn't really mean much. But yeah, I'm happy for this. It's going to be interesting. It makes the weekend more interesting for baseball fans because you have the best of a 3 game series. Didn't they used to play a one-off game for the wild card, and it was like
Yeah,
win
that's
or
right.
lose
Well,
and go home?
yeah, yeah. I didn't really like that because what happened to the Mets. I think in 16 or 17, they got the wild card. They played the Giants, and it was a beautiful, great game, but they lost 2-1. I think it was. And that was it. And I kind of like the 3 game format a little bit better. I think it's a little bit fairer. Um, I know it's all going to be at the higher record, the higher seed home field, so there will be no games in Philadelphia. All 3 will be in St. Louis. As the same thing with the Padres and the Mets. All 3 will be in New York. But I think the 3 games a fairer shake at it.
Yeah, and as you said, a whole day of baseball each weekend day. You got Friday is where it kicks off at 12:07, as you said. Saturday, same thing, 12:07, and the games are going to go all day long. So if you're a baseball fan, you're going to be in good shape this weekend. We'll see which games have to be forced into the Sunday, of course, and it's going to be fun. It's great matchups. Cleveland and Tampa Bay, a great matchup. Seattle and Toronto, the Mets and the Padres, the Phillies and excuse me, and the Cardinals. You can't ask for much better than that. And postseason baseball is, like you said, if the Mets won just one more game, it was the same thing with the Phillies. But
Mm-hmm.
everything is down to the single pitches almost. The way a ball skittles past an infielder, for example. Everything's microscoped bigger in the playoffs as it was towards the end of the season. The Phillies could have clinched back in September easily. They went on a 10-game, 12-game losing streak and almost blew it for the playoffs. for 2022. So they're lucky to be in. I think the baseball gods were shining down on them. It wasn't because they were overwhelmingly strong towards the end of the year, anything but. The Brewers were losing. That final night, the Brewers were down 4-1. I still had them on my screen. I was watching the game on MLB.com because I've seen them come back before in the ninth inning, the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back. Bottom of the ninth, they tied the game that they were in. They had to win. 10th inning, I believe they won it. They put in a superior effort, and it turned out the Phillies won anyway. And they needed just the one more win to put the Brewers away. But exciting baseball, and that's just what you tune in for.
Yeah, certainly. And excuse me. And it was exciting. And my story of the year, and they ended up well. It was the Baltimore Orioles, Rich, and they ended up over 500, and I'm so excited about that. I think that's a terrific story. 83-79. Yes, they were 16 games back in the standings, and yes, they were 3 games out of the wild card. But this is a team that nobody expected to be, in that position at all this year. Uh, they do have a pretty good minor league, and they brought up a couple of the guys, and they really came through big time. And they may be a team to watch next year.
Yeah, the Baltimore Orioles, as you said, some of these teams that have been lagging for the past few years, that's the good thing about sports and baseball in general. Uh, they do eventually come around, hopefully, these teams, when they get the high draft picks, they get some better players within the organization. But yeah, I was hoping to review our picks that we made during the um, early part of the season. And I thought I had brought that information with me today, but it looks like I do not have it. So I can't go over our picks, but I know that we picked some good teams, and we came up a winner on most of our picks.
I had it somewhere here. I am looking around.
I have it too. I had it.
Let's see. Here we go.
Okay.
I gotta make sense of this. Okay, the NL East. Rich, you had the Phillies. I
Okay.
had the Braves. In the Central, we both had the Brewers. Interestingly enough, we did not have the Cardinals.
Mhm.
Uh, the West was a no-brainer, of course. The NL West, with the Dodgers taking that. Our wild cards, Rich, you were right on the money, but we only picked. Well, okay, yeah, that's right. We picked 3. You picked the Mets, the Cards, and the Padres.
Ooh.
You hit that wild card right on the nail there. I was not as good. I picked the Giants, the Phillies, and the Mets. So I got two
Okay, you
out of
got two
three.
out of three. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
I think we did a little bit better in the American League, but we've got the teams, it seems, just mixed them up a little bit. AL East, you had the Blue Jays winning. Um, and I had the Rays. Neither one of us was right there, but we did get playoff teams.
Yep.
Uh, the Central, boy, both blew this, and I'll tell you, I think both these teams were disappointments. You picked the Twins in the AL Central, who were a big disappointment. I feel, and I picked the White Sox, who were another disappointment. So we both were wrong there. In the West, you picked the Astros. You got it right.
Uh-huh.
And I picked the Mariners. So I got another playoff team, but not in the right order. Your wild cards, you picked the Yankees, the Mariners, and the White Sox. So you got 2 playoff teams just in the wrong order. Actually, if you flipped your Yankees and the Blue Jays, you'd be pretty good shape there. I
Yeah.
picked the Twins, the Astros, and the Red Sox. I completely blew that one. The Twins and the Red Sox did nothing, so I was ruined there. Um, you have LA versus Toronto in the World Series.
Uh-huh.
I had LA versus Tampa.
Okay.
I do not have a winner for you, though. Why did I not write that down?
Huh. Interesting.
I wrote down Tampa, so I maybe because you said the Dodgers gonna win it all.
Yeah, and I actually was lucky enough to get some playoff tickets when I during the week right after the Phillies were looking like they were going to clinch or had a great possibility of it. And if you've ever called for tickets, it's still the old school way because I had an attendant on the phone and she was entering the information. I was talking to her. Oh yeah, I'd love an aisle seat. I was telling her, okay, yeah, I can get you an aisle seat. And then by the time she pressed the button, she came back on the phone. She was still on the phone, but she says, "Oh, it looks like somebody already grabbed these tickets." Like I'm like, "Oh, they did."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's still a human thing to buy tickets when you're calling over the phone. They really have to like get those ticket requests in fast, and they're flying out of there. I had to buy a wild card home game, and of course, there wasn't going to be a wild card home game from the Phillies. So now I'm going to get a refund on that or use it towards tickets for next year. But just
yeah.
it's a humorous call. And then she had to call me back later on. She says, "Yeah, one of the tickets I got you, something malfunctioned, and
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
know what happened. I haven't even looked at my tickets yet." So she says, "Yeah, I have to redo it." And okay, so I don't know if she was new or what, but it was an interesting thing to get these tickets that I eventually got.
So then I guess we have to root for the Phillies so Rich can go to a playoff game, right?
Yeah, if not, I'm going to have a lot of credits towards either a refund or next year. But yeah, there's nothing
So
like
did they
being.
they
Mhm.
make you buy for the division and the championship series and the World Series, or
Well, I would have liked to, but they had wild card and division series only available.
okay, okay,
So yeah, I got wild card home game two, and of course that's a moot point. And I got aisle seats, which was nice. And then another game, but I do have to check my ballpark app and see what eventually I ended up with because of all the changes that happened. But
yeah, yeah,
it was a thrill to be able to get playoff tickets because in the past I had been a partial season ticket holder. And of course, before the season ends, you got to subscribe to all of them. One of
yeah.
our friends, Jeff Cohen, called me on a Twitter Spaces that I did the other night, and he said his friend had to actually buy 14 games of the Mets in one
This year,
shot. Yeah, per seat,
yeah,
14 playoff games, which I wouldn't
yeah,
want that bill.
because it's the when I got it in '86. They what they did was I had season tickets, as you know, in case the people don't know at home, for like 20 years, and when we got the playoff tickets in '86, they only because I had a partial plan, I had a Saturday plan, they only offered us a there was no wild card then, so it was a division series and the champ. Wait, what was it
Big
now?
championship.
The champion. Yeah, there was no division either. I don't think in '86 was there.
Don't remember that. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't think so. So we got the one game against the Astros, which was Game 3, I believe. The first two were in Houston, and then Game 1 and Game 7 of the World Series. That's all we were offered. Then in '99 or 2000, I forget what it was. 99, we went to a playoff game. I think there was a. It might have was that a. No, that was a series against the Braves. Game one. I think that's all they offered us that year.
Uh-huh.
And then in 2000, I don't remember because I had surgery and I turned it down. And I remember a buddy of mine said, "What are you fool? You should have took it. I would have bought them all from you." And blah blah blah. But I
Yeah.
was, not thinking about that at the time. So
And it would have been your bill if he didn't step in and buy them
yeah,
all.
yeah. But of course, those tickets were you know cheaper then. I had four seats. Now, I mean, that bill would probably be like $3,000-4,000 or more.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Which do they have special financing maybe?
Well, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have had permission from my accountant, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I hear
Uh,
you.
probably to go, but so I mean, the pricing got a little out of hand. When I started, I think we paid for four seats, 13 games. I think we paid like $800 or something for the season. 13 games,
Uh-huh.
four seats.
Wow.
$800 or something like that. And then when we left, I think it was almost double that.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes up pretty quick there.
Yeah.
I was just pricing season tickets for, first to third Hall of Fame level. They're several $1,000s for the whole season. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
5, 6,000 a seat. So I was like,
And that's every game, right?
yeah, it's every game. 82 games, but it's great if you can swing it, but it gets a little pricey, as you said.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people, and what they do is they get a group together and they get 4, 5, 10 people,
Uh-huh.
and they divvy up the games and each go to 8 games, and they all chip in for those 8 games.
Yeah.
For the one seat. The problem is if you got friends you like to go with, you want to go with them. You don't want to, it's almost like a syndicate.
Yeah.
Um, well, and so then the thing to do is if you got 20 friends and you like to go to with a lot of the games, and then you get 2 tickets maybe and split them into $600 or something each, or
Uh-huh.
whatever they are. I don't know what they run, but um, that's one way of doing it that works out, and it doesn't kill you in the wallet. And all right. So if you got 10 people, 81 games, you go to 8 games.
Yeah.
For some people, that's enough.
And that's a lot of people to gather in one one group, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, if
even if you went 8, then you're all about 1,000 well, then you would need what? Still 2 seats, you figure. 8 people is what, about 10 games apiece, $1,000. That's not too bad. That would be doable, I think. But then you're
especially
not.
if you're talking about a high end seat.
Yeah, yeah, a higher end seat is what I'm thinking of. Then you would get more of those seats to have for yourself, and you would cut the cost down to 11, 1,200 at most for, like, something like an $8,000 plan for the year. Yeah, it's a great idea. I'll have
Mm-hmm.
to pitch it to a few people that I know. But yeah,
Yeah,
because that's the only way you're going to get these premium seats, because they're usually spoken for, unless they're
yeah,
in the aftermarket, StubHub, that sort of thing, and you pay a little premium for that during the season.
yeah.
But
Now those particular seats, they got the restaurant that you can go into, or the club as well,
yeah,
and do you get free food with that?
well, the one that I was thinking of would be the Hall of Fame level, which is right above the first level in Citizens Bank Park. And there are no clubs in Citizens Bank Park, so to say, just like City Field. It
Right.
does have its own um, stands, though, so the lines aren't quite as long. It's a little bit of a premium experience. It's air conditioned in the summer. It's indoors, like you're not in a concourse, so to speak. You're behind a glass plated window, and there's several tables and chairs you can sit at and eat, stuff like that inside that area. But if you wanted to go Diamond Club, but that's another couple $1,000 per year type of thing. They have their own inside as well with stand that you can purchase stuff from, but not a club like the City Field calls it. But it's
Right.
nice. And I think they offer like a super premium seat now in the Diamond Club in the first 5 rows or 4 rows, and they're prohibitively expensive. They're like $300 or $500 a game, and they might come with like a $30 credit for food and things like that. But if you're paying that much for a game, I don't think you're worried about a $30 credit. Yeah.
No, no, but it's nice. Like you said, at City Field, they have the one seats there that expensive, but you get free food. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
love the club theme that City Field has. They have so many nice restaurants that are associated with seats. It's incredible. I think, you know, Philadelphia could look at that model and make it a whole lot better that way.
hmm yeah, yeah. Well, you'll see. They might make some adjustments somewhere along the
Yeah,
line, and
yeah. A more
but this,
premium dining experience, so to speak. It's what people are after today.
yeah, that's what people want. They want to make a whole evening of it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. So the playoffs starting in just a little bit, Rich.
Yep.
As we record this on Friday
Starting.
morning, so
Yeah.
uh, we should be able to sit back and relax. And anything else happen in baseball this past
Uh,
week?
Nothing that I could really say, out of the norm. But I had talked a little bit about Twitter Spaces earlier in the broadcast, and I'm not sure if you stumbled upon this yet, but
No.
it's a very easy way of having sort of, I would call it a podcast, but it's a Twitter Space. You can just hook a microphone or use your own microphone from your phone and activate this. And if you have a podcast or something like that, you're right on the air, like instantaneously almost with this Twitter Spaces. And I did it a few shows. I had a few listeners. People can text in. You can put them on the air, so to speak, like a call-in radio talk show. Very interesting. I think down the road we're going to hear a lot more about this. Twitter Spaces. Very cool way to do these instant podcasts. I mean, it takes literally 30 seconds to hit a couple buttons and you're broadcasting, and I want to say that word in air quotes, but very interesting. And for stuff that we do, it's on the fly. So you could be at a stadium, you could be on the road, and as long as you have your cell phone, and I use like a headset microphone like this,
Uh huh.
talk with, and it sort of narrows down the sound a little better. But then I dump it off onto like Audio Hijack, and I can make a podcast out of it if I want to. So Twitter Space is very cool. Check it out if you see something you're interested in and stumble upon a Twitter Spaces. That's what it is.
And Rich, very informative there, and but we've also had some league leaders and a new home run record in the American League with Aaron Judge is the American League all-time single-season home run king with 62 home runs. He passed Roger Maris's record, and there are still those out there that judge as the game all-time home run standard bearer. They do not count McGuire or Sosa or Bonds. They're 70s because of the steroids. I guess you have to count them. I mean, they did hit them, and whether they were helped or not, we don't know what the pitchers. But Aaron Judge, who is supposedly clean, and I believe he is, 62 home runs in a season in his walk free agent season, I might add. Quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, yeah, he's been bashing the ball in the American League all year. It is his contract year as well. I got to bring that up. Not that he wouldn't have done it without a contract year, but do you know the incentive that he had to produce those kind of numbers was incredible. Yankees still not locked him down, as we talked about before on a previous podcast. He's going to be a free agent this year, so interesting to see that as well. And over in the National League, it was Kyle Schwarber who burst out of the gate and owns the National League record for this year for home runs. So I believe it was 46, if I'm not mistaken, home runs that he hit,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
did a wonderful job. I've seen a lot of the home runs that he hit towards the end there, and he was just hauling off and smacking them there. So didn't quite reach 100 RBIs at 94, and his batting average was pretty terrible at 218 during the season, which rose up. It was 203, 201 most of the season, but hitting those home runs are, what makes it happen for a team sometimes.
Well, and that's the interesting thing with Aaron Judge. He actually finished. He had a shot at the Triple Crown. They thought he might win the Triple Crown. He actually finished second by a point or a couple of points to Luis Arias of Minnesota, who won the American League, if I'm reading this right, batting championship. And Jeff McNeil of the Mets won the National League batting title and had the batting title, had the highest average of all baseball, beating out Freddie Freeman and Paul Goldschmidt. Freddie Freeman finished a point behind Mr. McNeil, and so congratulations to them. RBIs, it's kind of hard to read because the way they have it here, but it looks like Aaron Judge won the Aaron Judge Award. Aaron Judge won the RBI leadership, and he tied with actually with Pete Alonso for the overall MLB lead. Pete Alonso winning the National League RBI title, and a lot of people don't put stock in these leaders or titles anymore. I still think they're very important.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, Jeff McNeil, a good, great, I don't know if we want to say great, but a very good baseball player, built to play baseball, sort of like a Pete Rose. He's up there to get a hit. He's not up there to smack the ball over the fence every time. And he's a great overall ball player. Um, those kind of players don't come around too often. So it was nice to see McNeil get that for this year, and so glad that he did well for the Mets.
Yeah, and of course, going to be a lot of free agents next year, and it's going to be an interesting winter to see who goes where. We already mentioned about Aaron Judge, but he's ticked off at the Yankees a little bit because they tried to lowball him in the off season last year, offering him a contract, and he was not happy with that, and they eventually settled. They avoided arbitration, but he was not happy at all, and it was some bad press that came out about him that was attributed to the Yankees. So, it'll be interesting to see whether if another team like the Mets, they might be interested in going after him. They certainly have the money. They'll have money coming off the books this year. Everybody says they have to sign DeGrom because DeGrom is going to opt out of his contract. I am of the other ilk. I would think highly hard about that. especially if he struggles in the playoffs. He struggled the last couple of weeks of the season. If he struggles in the playoffs, I wouldn't be willing to spend the extra money on him at his age, but I would be willing to take that money and spend it on Judge. And if you can't pitch, then just bash. Uh,
That's
and,
true.
and and fill it with some other pitches. Look, they've already got an ace in Scherzer, so it's not like you'd be looking for that anchor. You'd be looking for a second to a fifth pitcher.
Yeah.
They have four of their starting five are going to be free agents. Again, DeGrom if he opts out, Bassett, Walker, and Carrasco. I signed Bassett and Walker. You've got two other guys, young guys, McGill, who started the year in the rotation and got hurt, and Peterson, who was in the rotation last season. So that's the direction I would go with. But I don't want to keep bringing up the Mets. But uh, yeah, I'd be going after Aaron Judge if I was the Mets, or who knows? He may want to go back to California, his home. So it's always those Dodgers. They seem to have an unlimited bankroll. They could dump some players, no problem, and probably try to sign Aaron Judge. So, could you imagine him in that lineup? Oh my God!
Uh, just give him the title. If that
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Some people say he may go to the Giants. I don't know if the Giants want to spend that kind of money, and I don't know if they've got the kind of team ready to take a big name on that. He may not want that.
yeah,
But it'll be interesting to see what he does, who pursues him. The feeling is the Yankees are going to get him back, but it's fun to speculate otherwise anyway.
that's true. And it all kicks off today at 12:07, Friday, Saturday, and if needed, Sunday. So can't wait for that. Check out some great baseball talk radio shows over at baseballtalkradio.com, the home for great baseball talk shows. You can find Gary's great Mets Musings podcast there. I have the Phillies Talk podcast, and this podcast that you're listening to right now is on there. So check it out. Send us an email if you want, Rich at baseballtalkradio.com or Gary at baseballtalkradio.com, and we'll be glad to read your comment on the air. If you have a suggestion for us, maybe a guest you have in mind for us, let us know. Gary, it's been a great time talking with you. Wild Card Weekend kicks off. The next time we talk to these folks, we'll be talking about a division series.
Yeah, that's true, Rich, and good luck to your team, and we'll see who we'll be talking about next time.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the Wild Card Weekend.